When Governor Nikki Haley signed the state's voter ID measure into law in May 2011, it immediately sparked a wave of opposition and a seemingly endless legal battle that went all the way to the nation's capital. Opponents have long said voter ID would disenfranchise more than 200,000 voters in the state who do not have proper picture identification. But Wednesday, a panel of federal judges said otherwise. State Attorney General Alan Wilson calling it a victory.
Someone shows up without one of the 5 forms of ID that are allowed, they can still sign a reasonable impediment affidavit, which creates a paper trail. And anyone with the intent of defrauding or stealing a vote by in-person voter fraud at the polling place would be dissuaded from doing so.
Opponents say if those kind of assurances had been more clear when the law was first proposed, there would have been very little debate. But despite Wednesday's ruling, they still have some questions.
I think the biggest piece of concern is that there's confusion. I mean, we were running into that yesterday before this even came up. People were wondering if the voter ID bill had been put into law or not. And so there's a lot of explanation that's required for folks who don't read the newspaper every day.
The State Election Commission is required to launch a voter education program to help inform South Carolina voters about what the ID measure means and what they'll need to vote starting in 2013.
Every single person who wants to vote on Election Day after this law is implemented will be allowed to vote, regardless